He walked in like a man possessed. Alex Pereira didn't give Magomed Ankalaev a second to breathe. From the opening bell, he stormed forward, pressing like Ankalaev was already hurt, like this fight was going to end no matter what. And Ankalaev, who had beaten him before by dragging him into a cautious, defensive fight, suddenly realized this wasn't the same guy. He was on the back foot from the very start. He went to level change, tried to shoot, but it was desperate. Pereira blocked it, shrugged it off, and kept chipping away. The very first right hand shook Ankalaev to his core. He was wobbled. You could see it. He froze. He didn't circle. He didn't scramble. He just absorbed and braced. Tried to realize, and what the just happened to him, but Alex was too close already. He did not get the time to recover, so he went for the legs and ended up on the ground, where he was ended with brutal and chilling elbows. Ankalaev was flattened inside the first round. It looks like Alex wasn't kidding when he said he doesn't want to go back to the tire shop, because this approach was entirely different, and rightfully so. In their first fight, Pereira was tentative, backing up, waiting, afraid of the takedown. Here, he didn't give a damn. He marched Ankalaev onto the back foot, and once the ground and pound started, those vicious 12-6 elbows, it was over. Pereira looked like cold-blooded, hell-bent on proving that the first fight was a fluke. In their first encounter at UFC 313, Ankalaev controlled the pace, slowed Pereira down, and won by unanimous decision. And it was a fight where Pereira admitted later that he was only operating at around 40%, far too cautious, constantly worried about the threat of the takedown. That hesitancy cost him the fight in his belt. But in the second meeting, everything was different. The look in his eyes, the pressure from the opening bell, the refusal to play Ankalaev's game. This was Alex Pereira at his most dangerous, a marauder with no fear. The fight ended in just 1 minute and 20 seconds of the very first round. Pereira stormed forward immediately, forcing Ankalaev backward. There was no feeling out process, no time given for Ankalaev to establish his range or rhythm. Pereira admitted after that he had been too reactionary in the first fight, so this time he flipped the script completely. The pressure was insane right from the start. Within the first exchange, Pereira landed a powerful right hand that dropped Ankalaev hard. From there, it was chaos. Pereira swarmed him with vicious ground strikes and elbows. Ankalaev, who had never been knocked out before, simply couldn't recover. He barely moved on the ground after the initial punch. Referee Herb Dean had no choice but to wave it off at 120 of round 1, declaring Alex Pereira the winner by TKO and the new UFC light heavyweight champion once again. The official numbers only make the performance look even cleaner. Pereira landed 28 of 45 total strikes, and every single one of them was considered significant. The breakdown shows 21 of those to the head, 3 to the body, and 4 to the legs. He also registered about 17 seconds of control time during the ground and pound sequence. There were no takedowns from either man, no submissions attempted. It was pure striking efficiency. Ankalaev, who entered the fight with a record 21 wins and 1 loss, looked stunned and out of answers. For someone known for his durability and methodical approach, it must have felt like a nightmare. He expected a chess match, but what he got was a horror movie. Pereira didn't allow him to play safe, didn't allow him to adjust, and didn't allow him to breathe. The contrast with the first fight couldn't be more stark. Back then, Ankalaev leaned heavily on clinch work, volume striking, and the constant threat of grappling to freeze Pereira's offense. He turned it into a controlled decision win. But in this rematch, once that first right hand landed, it was over. Ankalaev even attempted a takedown when he realized Pereira wasn't backing off, but it was stuffed instantly, and by then, he already looked shaken. From that moment on, he didn't fight like someone respecting Ankalaev's wrestling anymore. He fought like someone who had no doubt he was going to win. Pereira took the judges right out of the fight. Ankalaev had no chance to reset, no chance to mount offense. It's pretty rare in this sport to lose your belt and then come back to win it again. Pereira not only did that, he did it emphatically, erasing any doubt left from their first meeting. And you have to think about what this means for Ankalaev. His era as champion was short-lived, and now he faces the kind of rebuilding process that breaks many fighters. Being knocked out for the first time is different. It changes something inside you. We've seen undefeated champions lose and never look the same again. How Ankalaev responds to this will define the rest of his career. From Pereira's perspective, though, this was a statement, and he didn't mess around. The pressure was immediate. The intent was obvious. Usually by this stage, fighters are slowing down, but Pereira looks sharper, more aggressive, more confident than ever. What comes next is where things get truly exciting. After the fight, Pereira didn't go straight into call-out mode the way we often see champions do. He wanted to call out Jon Jones, but instead went to mourn for his brother death, but he gave signal in the post-fight presser. When he was asked about his fight with Jon Jones, he said,
I was gonna ask for Jon Jones in the White House, but with everything that happened, it's not the right time to talk about it.
If you did go to heavyweight, we're seeing now a lot that the champions have to vacate their belt when they're moving up. Are you willing to part ways with that title if you go to heavyweight?
I don't think that's needed. Everyone knows how often I fight, so that's not gonna be an issue.
Dana White was in here. He didn't seem over the moon about the idea of you fighting at heavyweight. If you could send a message to him, I'm sure you'll have meetings and stuff, but what would your pitch be to move up to heavyweight?
No need. We already talked backstage.
What did he say?
It's a secret.
How about we win tonight and focus on tonight, and then we can talk about, heavyweight. And I don't know. There's still fights here in this division, but we'll see. I mean,
pretty sure that is a great possibility now. But let's look at the current landscape. Pereira just set up a beautiful timeline. We could be looking at Alex versus Jones, Alex versus Tom, or even Alex versus Jiri 3. Personally, I'd love to see all of these matchups. Out of them, though, Tom is the least interesting because he'd likely put Poatan away in the first round. He's already said he'd just rugby tackle him the second the bell rang. And to be fair, that would be a nightmare matchup for Alex. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jones tried something similar, but Tom is a legitimate weight class above. That's why I don't think it would be close. But the fact that these fights are even on the table speaks to what Pereira has created. He's a champion with options, with storylines, with a timeline that fans love to imagine. For now, though, the takeaway is simple. Alex Pereira is once again the undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion, and he did it in the most ruthless way possible. Ankalaev never stood a chance once that right hand landed. The fight was short, violent, and emphatic. And if anyone doubted Pereira after that first fight, those doubts have been buried under a pile of ground and pound strikes. He's cold-blooded, he's dangerous, and he's rewriting the rules for what a late career run can look like in MMA.
I don't know. There's still fights here in this division. This guy has been an absolute stud for us. He's on vacation in Australia, flies over and fights because somebody fell out. He fights when he's hurt. He doesn't care. He wants to fight everybody. He wants to move up to heavyweight. He's a dream to have in this organization.